Jeopardy! Masters host Ken Jennings has thrown some major shade at player Amy Schneider after she mocked her fellow competitors over their win totals. Amy returned to the iconic game show and Oppo's stage in Monday and Oppo's episode, facing off against Matt Amadio and Andrew E. About halfway through the show, Ken, 48, took a moment to chat with the players. He caught up with Andrew first, then moved to Matt and, finally, Amy. After sharing a little bit about her hometown of Oakland, California, introducing a day to honor her for her Jeopardy wins, Amy flipped the script and turned the questions on Ken. She asked, and quote, I did have a question for you, Ken, which is, I wanted to ask how did it feel when you won your 40th game? Because I could have asked one of these too, but... Amy trailed off as she shrugged her shoulders and looked at Matt and Andrew. The audience let out a loud, audible laugh, as did Ken. The show and Oppo's host then answered, I'll tell you, Amy, it wasn't that different from my 50th or 60th. Oh, sorry. I don't want to offend, and quote. Fans go wild. Viewers watching at home ate the moment up, taking to Twitter to share their thoughts. One person quoted Amy and Oppo's snarky remark, adding, and quote, the shade, and quote. Another tweeted, and quote, Ken and Amy are roasting each other, and quote. A third fan wrote, and quote, totally lovin' and Oppo's, Amy throwing shade on Jeopardy Masters, and quote. Someone else reacted, and quote, damn. Amy throwing shade, and quote. Amy won 40 games in a row in 2022 while Matt had 38 straight victories back in 2021. As for Andrew, he had a more modest 5-game winning streak during his first appearance on the famous game show. Change up. Ahead of the Jeopardy! Masters premiere, host Ken revealed a major change to the show. While speaking with WISN Channel 12 Milwaukee News, the star opened up about how the audience will have and quote, inside information that the contestants will not have, and quote. The Jeopardy! Legend continued, and quote, this is something we and Oppo's trying out with Masters. We noticed this was fun in the studio. And quote, we know where the daily doubles are because we can see the contestants get close. Sometimes they veer away at the wrong time, and quote. He compared the new idea to a and quote, big game of Battleship, and quote. Ken went on, and quote, so, for the first time, we and Oppo's going to give viewers a sneak preview of where the daily doubles are on the board. When asked if the new gameplay will take off, Ken admitted, and quote, I don and Oppo's, know if we and Oppo's, do it on the syndicated show, but I really like it, and quote. Ken concluded, and quote, you can really get a sense of how the match is changing and how the odds are changing in real time, and quote. Ken Jennings had always been the poster child for grace and sportsmanship on Jeopardy. After all, he was one of the most celebrated champions in the show and Oppo's history. But as the Jeopardy! Masters tournament heated up, the dynamic between contestants started to change, and even Ken couldn't resist throwing a little shade. The tournament was star-studded, featuring legendary contestants like James Holzhauer, Matt Amadio, and the most recent fan favorite, Amy Schneider. All eyes were on them as they battled it out in front of millions, each question raising the stakes. Amy, who had broken numerous records during her run, was known for her quick wit and sharp mind, but during this tournament, her playful mockery of the other contestants took center stage. What no one expected, however, was Ken's biting response. It all started during Final Jeopardy! Amy had just clinched a decisive win in a previous match, and her confidence was riding high. After breezing through the double Jeopardy round with an impressive score, Amy had the game in the bag before even reaching Final Jeopardy! The category was quote, world history. When it came time to reveal the answers, the tension in the studio was palpable. Matt had struggled during the round, and his incorrect answer only solidified his defeat. James, ever the gambler, had taken a huge risk with his wager and missed the mark as well. But when Ken revealed Amy's answer, which was, of course, correct, her smirk was unmistakable. "Well, I guess that's why they call me a master," Amy quipped with a chuckle, glancing at her competitors. The crowd laughed, but the other players exchanged sideways glances. It was clear that the comment didn't sit well with everyone on stage. James raised an eyebrow but kept his poker face. Matt, usually more reserved, gave a small, tight-lipped smile, but his eyes showed that Amy's playful jab had hit a nerve. Still, the game was over, and the contestants gathered around Ken for the post-game chat. Ken, ever the gracious host, usually kept his cool, but even he couldn't resist the opportunity to respond to Amy's cocky comment. "Wow, Amy, another great game," Ken said with a grin. "And it's always nice to see that even with all these wins, humility isn't a priority." The audience erupted in laughter. It was a playful yet pointed dig, delivered with Ken's signature charm. Amy's eyes widened slightly, caught off guard by the jab from the usually stoic host. But she was quick to recover, smiling at the playful banter. "Oh, I've got plenty of humility," Amy shot back, trying to regain control of the moment. "Just not when I'm playing Jeopardy." Ken raised an eyebrow, clearly enjoying the exchange. "Well, we'll see how long that confidence lasts. This is only round 3, and there's still a lot of game left to play." James, who had been quiet until this point, couldn't help but chime in. "Careful, Amy. Ken's just waiting for his chance to remind us all who the real master is." The tension on stage was palpable, but the playful banter brought a new dynamic to the tournament. Fans watching at home took to social media almost immediately, praising Ken for his witty shade and the overall energy of the competition. After the show, backstage was buzzing with activity. The contestants usually had a light-hearted camaraderie, but today felt different. Amy, though still riding high from her win, seemed to sense the shift in tone. Matt and James kept their distance, discussing strategy for the next round while keeping an eye on Amy. Ken, meanwhile, was being praised by producers for his quick-witted response to Amy's mockery. One producer, a longtime friend of Ken's, couldn't help but chuckle as they replayed the moment. "Ken, that was perfect timing," the producer said, clapping him on the back. "You've still got it." Ken smiled, but there was a hint of seriousness in his tone when he replied. "I just wanted to remind everyone that it's not just about winning. It's about how you win." Amy overheard the comment as she walked past, and though she tried to play it cool, there was a flicker of irritation in her eyes. She had always admired Ken's professionalism, but now she felt like he was singling her out. As the episode aired, fans were quick to dissect the exchange on social media. While many applauded Amy's confidence in her playful digs at her fellow contestants, others felt that Ken's shade was justified. Some even felt that Amy had crossed a line with her comments, making her competitors look bad in the process. "Ken Jennings just served Amy Schneider a humble pie, and I'm here for it," one fan tweeted. Another added, "Amy's great, but that comment rubbed me the wrong way." Ken had every right to throw shade. But not everyone agreed. "Amy is one of the best players we've seen.